Come on, let's talk about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Come on, let's talk about it with Sister JayJay. Come on, let's talk about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Come on, let's talk about it with Sister JayJay.
Welcome to Let's Talk About It with Sister JayJay, and I'm your host, Sister JayJay. Today we will be discussing single mothers raising boys. Now with me today I have my guest Latasha Winston, Corporate America, single mother, Katrina Renee, single mother, working mother, and Mika Marie, director of Tri-City Angels. Thank you ladies for joining me. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's start with you, Latasha. Single mother, corporate America. You look like you got it going on. Tell me your story.
Probably a typical story, I guess. I had my son pretty young. I was only 20 years old. I wasn't married to his father. He was also pretty young. So the relationship lasted probably 2 years into my son's life, and then it was just me. Unfortunately, in my case, I didn't get a lot of assistance from his father because he spent a lot of time incarcerated.
Okay.
So it was absolutely necessary that once my son was born, that I do what I needed to do as a mother to ensure that he would be raised appropriately, because very early I realized it was going to be just me.
Okay, so you said very early you realized it was going to be just you. You also said that, mentioned that your son's father spent a lot of time incarcerated. So at what point did you say, you know, this guy, how many times was he incarcerated? So at what point did you say, you know, this is the road that this guy is going to go down and it's just going to be me and my son?
Probably the third time he got locked up. Yes, wow. Because he was incarcerated when I was pregnant with my son, and then after my son was born, he spent some time out. So we had an opportunity to do it, you know, raise him together a little. Okay. And then we discussed his behaviors and you know the importance of being there for my son and making better choices. But unfortunately, he didn't. I stuck by him, you know, out of love the second time. But definitely that third time, when I realized that we weren't the priority, because immediately when I gave birth, my son was my priority. And because he was not making the same sacrifices that I was, I knew then that it was necessary for me to just take the reins and go for it.
So you said after the second time of him being incarcerated, he came home, that you all did initially begin to raise your son together. So how long was he in your son's life?
I will say that even till this day, he's in my son's life, but throughout his life, he probably was incarcerated about 8 different times. And then some of them were pretty lengthy. So but it was so frequent in and out, and he did make efforts when he was out. So it was more like his family helped, I guess, be there for him in his place. Okay. But my son spent some summers maybe, or, you know, birthday or Christmas, and then he would be locked up again. So. Okay.
So when he was home, he did spend time with them.
Well, it's funny because he made efforts, but having a conversation with my son as he got older, he was in his presence, but spending time wasn't necessarily there, you know. So my son relied a lot more on me than he did his dad. He appreciated it as a boy, you know. You want your father. Right. So at that moment, he thought that's what it was. But later, he brought it to my attention, like, Mom, you know, you had to be the disciplinarian. My dad was the fun guy. But I realized even being with him, I wasn't always with him. He, you know, the lifestyle he was living, when he would get him, there would be people available for my son to kind of be, you know, pawned off, for lack of a better term, with them. So he didn't really spend that quality time that he can recollect now and say, you know, these were those key moments with me and my dad. It was kind of like, I'm going to do it, and you're here, and okay.
Putting the foundational roots in your son.
Correct. Mm.
So talk to me a little bit about, you said that you were the disciplinarian one, and dad was the fun one. How did that make you feel as a mom?
Oh, yeah. I can remember it because, you know, there would be, to a certain extent, you know, matches between me and him where it was like, I want my father, when I had to tell him something that he needed to do. And I had to pray on it, of course, because it hurt my feelings like you wouldn't believe, especially as a mother who, you know, is knowing what I'm going through to make sure that his life is what it is, and sacrificing the way that I am and not getting that appreciation from him, not understanding, obviously. Right. But I had to realize that he doesn't understand, you know, but my feelings was hurt. I cried it off, and the next day I did what I had to do as his mom. So.
Now, you said sacrifice. You also said that once your son was born, you put him as priority number one.
Yes.
And sharing with me, you pretty much put your life on hold. Correct. You're in corporate America now. You're a supervisor of a call center, correct?
Correct.
Right. And prior to that, though, your career goal was to do
broadcast communication, specifically news.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually started that process after my son was born.
Okay.
I did, because I wanted to continue with what my goals were, and at the time that's what it was. I was also acting and doing some modeling and really trying to feel my way and figure out specifically what it was that I wanted to do. But as you said, my son always became the priority. And there is a lot of travel and time that is needed in order to really pursue those goals, or hours, especially when it came down to the news. Right. And I did that for a few years and realized that, you know, it was taken away from, of course, time with my son. And it was costly in a sense where, you know, I'm always trying to figure out what to do and how to get. And I couldn't take away from the household. Right. You know, that came first. So.
I definitely commend you for that.
Thank you.
Your son now, he's doing very well for himself.
Yes.
So what is he doing?
So he's currently in the Navy.
All right.
He's stationed in Japan. He is really pursuing electronics, or electrician.
Okay.
I guess I'm saying that right. The goal is always, and our goals have always been, that whatever he pursue in his future, that it be something that he can enjoy and love, and something that he can make a business out of. Okay. And I guess like all or most young men that are raised by their mothers, his goal is always to take care of me.
Take care of Mom.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, I see you smile when you talk about his success, and you should be proud of that. Tell me some of the obstacles that you were faced with being a single woman raising your son.
Well, you know, as a small child, it's a little easier. You know, you tell him, and I knew from the beginning that I had to start early with my child. That's just something that my mother instilled in me. If I was going to really be able to raise him as best as I could, I needed to be on point from day one. So, you know, those years, I will say, and I tell young people too, were easy. It was more so when he got to the double digits, and in being a boy, and me being a woman, and you know, as the old folks say, he started smelling himself. So now, where you know I could do a look or snap a finger, it was kind of like a little bit more of a challenge. And then you know, it took a man, to be very honest, thankful that we did have people around us, men around us in our lives, to help to explain to me, you know, things to do. Because, you know, I didn't have that direct participation from his father, or not necessarily dependent on that, you know. So I had strong men to really be able to help me understand that at a certain age, I had to interact with him differently. It was no longer, you know, I snap the finger and I give him a look. It was more like consequences and, you know,
repercussions.
Yeah, absolutely. Privileges being taken away. And I recognize too in those double digits, especially in this fast age, it was more productive for me to handle it that way. But the challenges really were just, boys can be lazy. I'm sorry, they can. So clean your room, mow the lawn, do the dishes. Why is this book back here? Why is this book back here again? Why is this book back here again?
I see some of those.
You understand? And then where before it was just move and do it. It kind of was under the breath, and I got into a point probably around 12 and 13 where I was like, what am I going to do with him? Because he can't stay here anymore. And this is my perfect son. But I had definitely had to get some advice and pray on it, of course, and learn to communicate with my kid and set new expectations according to his age and where he was, and evolve with him like he's evolving with me, with him understanding I'm still his mother.
Exactly. So you said that you had male influence or male help. So who were some of the men that were influential in helping you raise your son?
Definitely my dad.
Awesome dad.
Awesome dad. Definitely my best friend. He was really the one, because it was kind of like when I would explain things to him, I'm going to tear him up. He'd like, that boy's 6 feet. What are you going to do to him? And it doesn't hurt anymore when you hit him. Not hit him, but when you thump him in his head, it doesn't hurt anymore. So
wait a minute, did you just say thump?
Oh, that was quick with the thump. And he knew I'd get him right there.
Okay.
And he's like, that's not productive. It was, and like I said, it was the consequence thing. That was the biggest thing for me, is getting him to respond without me having to feel like I have to jump on him or throw him out the house.
Right.
So it was like, he said to me, it was funny, not so funny, but funny. He said, men, and this is similar to the call center, men don't hear women when they He said, men hear women when they speak. He said, that's even down to your son. He said, when you he doesn't hear you. He said, but when you calmly say, if you do not do this, these are your consequences, and then hold him to it. It's hard to hold, especially when it's just you and that child in the house, hold the consequence because you want him out your face. Go watch TV, even though you told him yesterday not to. But you hold that consequence. And he recognizes what that consequence, not only does he recognize that in the house, he recognizes it outside the house.
Right.
And I'm going to show you the consequence before I let anybody else. So that once you leave here, you don't even take the risk. My son will call me and tell me some things, and he'll end up saying what I always said too. And then I remember you said, and then I remember you said, I said, good, I'm glad you remember.
So with raising him, you realized that the physical discipline was not as effective as a calm tone, and as you said, holding him responsible and accountable for his actions and following through with the punishment. And I think a lot of times what moms do is just what you said. You're not going to be able to look at TV, but to get you out of my face, go look at TV. So the punishment is as good as the sentence.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Or he's there, and it would be like I'm taking that phone for however long, and then 3 days later, it's Mom. Can I just see my phone real quick so that I can? And then my friend told me when he asked, put another day on it. And say until I tell you can't have this phone, and every time you ask me, I'm going to put another day on it. Oh gosh, do you know what it's like for a teenager not to have access to his phone, especially mine at the time? So it was terrible.
So how was that for you as a mom though? Because a lot of times, they say that the boy is the mom's heart. And so was it hard for you to stick to that?
Yeah. Well, I think what happened was I got to that point of frustration with him where I felt like I wasn't getting across. And then, of course, some would say it was because, a woman doesn't know how to raise a man. And that really bothered me because I wanted to really raise the best man that I could for a whole bunch of reasons. Right. So it was like I felt like I was losing the battle. So I really wanted to figure out a way without involving social services and the police
I know that's
how to get messages across to my son and have him absorb it. You could talk to your children all day and it goes in one ear and out the other, but what are they actually absorbing? So that was my goal. I really just, and fear of the world,
Right.
you know, and sending him out into it.
Right.
Then I found out when he went that it was worse than when he lived, because he don't have to listen now. You know what I mean?
Right,
So it's
right.
like I could tell him all day, but as an adult, he doesn't necessarily have to. I'm just grateful that he does, and he tells me.
Right.
I call you just to get the answer. And he just told me the other day that he's appreciative to the fact that at least I listen. Even if we're not on the same mentality. He's like, even though, Mommy, you're the mom. Yeah, he called me Mommy. He said, I really appreciate that you listen.
And that's the most important thing with communication. A lot of times we as parents, especially mom, you said something that was very important. We as mothers, we are afraid for our boys to go out into society. And sometimes we don't listen because we know the fears, or we know the obstacles, we know some of the dangers, should I say, that are out there. So we don't want to, it's not that we don't want to listen, but we don't think that we're not listening. And so you need them, we're busy wanting them to listen to us, that we neglect listening to them.
Correct.
And I think that was awesome that you were able to open your ear to listen to him, so that he can be this fantastic young man that he is today, and he can call mom and talk with mom, and at this point actually ask you for advice, and whether he listened to it or not, you know, but he still have a communication with you as an adult, because he doesn't have to do that. That's awesome.
And he calls me first.
He calls you first.
That's wonderful. That's good.
That's good. I want you to chime in on this conversation. Katrina Renee, single mother, working mother of 2 young boys. Now, your story is a little different. You were actually married.
Yes, I was.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
and
I
yet
was married.
you find yourself a single parent.
Yes.
Talk to me.
I married early. By me being the only child, the first ticket to leave Virginia, I jumped on it.
Okay.
And you could call it love, lust, or whatever it was. It was one of the L's, and it's real. So, well, started off early, 19 years old, had my son. My ex joined the military. Well, he got stationed in North Carolina. Mom told me, you know, don't go. Don't stop your life. You go to school here in Virginia. If it's meant to be, it will be. But you're young, so you need to stay here. I'm looking at her, and I'm like, Mom, I don't care what you say. I want a family on my own. And family was always big to me, because I never really had a large family, and we're not close.
Okay.
So when I had the opportunity to leave Virginia, of course, I left. Had my one son then. Everything was lovely. I mean, but for one, I had painted this picture in my head. I just had this fairy tale life. You know, oh my God, I have my son, you know, military wife, you know, married. Oh my God, we're going to have this nice life. Oh my God, and it came crashing down. Wow. But however, you know, I have another son. And it came crashing down, you know, shortly after I had my second son. And things happened, and I had to move back here to Virginia. And when I came back by myself with my 2 children. And I never, I could still recall the night that I drove back from Florida. I think I got back to Virginia probably around about 7 or 8 o'clock that night. And I couldn't believe it was like it was like everything had went in reverse. I remember talking to my mom and sitting by her bed and her telling me, you know, don't leave. And it was just so ironic. You know, I had left for 5 years, and I came back only to sit in the same exact spot that I once left, and she was scoring me, don't leave. And I came back and I says, wow, I'm back. And she said, of course, you know, you here, we'll, you know, try to make you, you know, comfortable, and I understand you used to being independent, and you used to being, you know, just you and your family, but however, you have to think about you and your 2 children now. And I said, okay, you know, this should be, you know, pretty easy. You know, I have my mom, and, you know, I have these 2 boys or whatever, I got my dad here, and it's going to be okay. But it wasn't okay, because my parents were there to help me, but the children was lacking. They missed their father. And I had no way of actually knowing they missed them until, you know, schoolwork. Their grades start dropping. So it was very hard and challenging, and still is.
Oh, wow. We're going to stop right there, and we'll be right back after this short message. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Let's Talk About It with Sister JayJay. If you have a topic that you would like us to discuss, or if you would like to appear as a guest on my show, please reach us at Facebook at Sister JayJay. That's SistaJayJay. We would love to talk about it.
How you doing, people of God? It's good to be able to talk to you once again. I want to invite you to Word, Spirit, and Life Ministries, the Enlargement Center. Listen, you love football, and so do I. I want to introduce you to a man that not only know the game, but played the game. This is none other, Brother Henderson.
How you doing, everyone? It is my pleasure. My name is William Henderson, former fullback for the Green Bay Packers, 12-year veteran. But every Sunday, I get a chance to. I'm in this church, listen to Pastor Battle give us the good word, and I invite you guys to come out and minister with us.
Hey, I'm Kyra Battle, and I'm watching Let's Talk About It with Sister JayJay.
Welcome back to Let's Talk About It with Sister JayJay, and I'm your host, Sister JayJay. Today we are talking about single mothers raising boys, and we were talking with Katrina Renee, sharing with us your story of how you were married to a military man, and you found yourself, ironically, back home with the two boys.
Well, like I was saying before, I didn't know that the kids were really affected by the separation until, you know, they got into school. And for one, the oldest, it really did hurt him and impacted his grades a lot. And just dealing with the grades and the emotional, you know, the up and down, you know, you try to talk to family members about it. And of course, you know, we pray, but however, sometimes you feel like, God, did you really do this to me? Why did you? I mean, I know, you know, God says that, you know, he won't put more on you than you can handle. So I'm like, well, I'm really that strong. I would look in the mirror, and I'm saying, I would look in the mirror and say, me? I mean, I never saw myself as being a person that would be by myself. Like, where's my partner at? You know, he's moved on, and, you know, he has another life. He's a good man. But however, he wasn't a good father to my children. It's one thing to be a father, and that's what he is, but it's another to be a dad, you know. And, you know, the kids can call on him. Now, you notice the kids can call on him or call him, but he never picks up the phone to contact them first, to make them feel as though that they're important.
Right.
So it's an emotional roller coaster. Now things are kind of coming back around, you know. One is 11, one is 16, and they're old enough now to actually talk and not react, you know. So it's hard. It's a challenge.
So let's stop here because when I'm hearing you say that you had this picture of how your life was to be. And it's, I mean, listening to you, I was like, wow, that's awesome. You know, husband, military, security, you have the two children. I don't know if you had the picket fence house, you know, but nevertheless, for whatever reasons, you found yourself back in Virginia. I hear you say that your ex-husband moved on. The children can call him, yet there is no correspondence with him calling them, should I say. He doesn't take the initiative to call them.
Yes.
And how does that, or should I say, how did you deal with the fact that he's not taking the initiative to be, as you say, the partner in raising the boys? Because although you guys are not together, you said that he's a father, but he wasn't a dad. You also said that he was a good man. So do you feel as though he was a good man before you all got together, or did you paint this picture of him being a good man, and once you all got together, you start having children, you realize that this good man that you had a picture of was not the father that you needed for the children? And with that realization, how did that affect you?
It hurt my feelings because I felt as though I chose him. You know, I went out on a limb because I left. You know, he chose the career, and I didn't have to follow him. But I saw something in him, and I thought that it was my, in other words, how it came out to be. It's like, say for instance, a tree, and I stepped out on the limb, and it's like he broke. You know, I thought that he was so strong and could handle everything that, you know, me and the children had, you know, or could offer, but it wasn't good enough. And I felt like, oh my God, it hurt my feelings because I didn't know. He was a friend at first.
Okay.
And to lose a friend, you know, it was just emotional, just hurtful thing.
Okay, so let's recap. You got married, it didn't work out, you come back home. Now you have these two boys. You have to raise these two boys. You're still young, you know nothing about raising boys. You're relying on your parents to help you raise the boys, but you find yourself still having to raise these boys. It's not the fairy tale now, you're actually in reality. How did you deal with the fact that you're no longer married, your fairy tale has been dissolved, you're dealing with the reality of being a single parent with two boys? Or when did the reality even hit that you are a single parent?
It hit when I was back on my mother's sofa. I knew then that, I mean, this is it. I had to start day by day, and we've been separated, or divorced for a while now, and every day, you know, I'm picking up pieces of myself, because I guess I didn't start off right. So, in other words, by me not starting off right, I had to kind of actually learn myself all over again and raise these two children all at the same time.
So in learning yourself, that means you're almost reinventing yourself. But now you're still raising these boys. How did that work?
Well, we're growing together, I could say.
Okay.
With prayer, of course, you know, it changes. With talking to, you know, my dad and, you know, my pastor, it's getting a little easier, especially now that, you know, the one that's my 16-year-old, he talks to me now, and he let me know how he feels, and he tells me if he thought that I was too hard on him, and sometimes he do say things as though, you know, I'm a boy, you know, Mom, this is what I do, and I'm like,
he actually says that?
He says that
Mom,
to me.
I'm a boy, this is what I do.
Because I get upset with the room, because the room constantly being, you know, dirty, just lazy, like you said.
Right there. Mom, I'm a boy, this is what I do.
Yes.
What is your response to that?
Well, I was kind of speechless. I was like, oh, yes, I know you're a boy, but no, you don't have to do this. Right. And it's just ironic, the things that, you know, I was listening to her conversation that she was having with you, and I was like, wow, that sounds just like me. So I think it is a boy thing. I mean, he might have been right. He might have hit the nail on the head there, because I was like, okay, yeah, you are a boy. I mean, just some of the things that he would do. Unbelievable.
I think I would have been stunned for a moment. You know, you're not a boy, Mom. You don't know what it means to be a boy. This is what boys do. Let me be a boy. So, with that, those have to be some of the comical moments with your boys. Boys are different from girls.
Yes.
Okay. So, how they like sports, some of them. They like some of the silliest things. How did, you know, speaking with you, how did you deal with their characteristics? I mean, as obvious as like, I'm a boy, you don't know. How did you deal with that?
Well, just pretty much one day at a time. We pretty much laughed together. I mean, just for an example, last night, I was telling my, night before last, I was telling my youngest son, I was like, hey man, you know, what's going on with this broom? What's going on? And I don't know, he just burst out laughing at me. I said, okay, why would you laugh at me? For one, my hair was sticking up, and he was trying to keep his composure and be like, you know, yes, Mom, I'm gonna respect you. But I kept on talking at him like, hey, you know, what's going on? So he just like, you know, I can't hold it no more, Mom. But it's funny. We're learning. We're getting over that emotional, you know, that heartbreak, and we're just starting to get stronger and stronger as the day go on. And that's all I can do. No pity party here. Just, you know, keep going and just be strong.
Good for you. Good for you. Do you sense any resentment between your boys with their dad?
Sometimes the resentment comes out. It's like in school, my son would be with his friends, and they would just have conversations like in the hallways or in the cafeteria, and they would say, well, you know, we're going to hang out with our dad this weekend. We're going fishing, and we're going to do, you know, things with their dad. And, you know, he would tell me like, dang, Mom, why he's not, you know, why my dad isn't here to, you know, go fishing with me, or, you know, I had heard those stories so much. Why can't we go hiking with our dad, or why can't we go play basketball with our dad? So at one point when the kids were younger, I made it my business. I would be tired. I mean, it would be hot outside. I would just say, come on, kids, let's go to the park. Let's go down to the woods and hike and fish and play basketball. Now, I played basketball a little in school, but it was just too much a dirty sport to me with that sweat. So I really didn't care to really learn everything about basketball, but I know some things. So I would get out there and I would say, come on, babies, let's shoot. And we would play like horse or whatever. I think that's what it is, horse or something. So we would play that, and we would ride bikes and play football. I've taken them to the park before, and we play football, and I get all the guys in the neighborhood, all the little young guys, and they say, hey, man, your mom got an arm on her. I was like, yeah, Mom, you know, Mom had some growing up with some cousins in the country, and they did teach me. So, you know, they kind of looked at me and be like, you know, we're glad that you're not a really girly, you know, girl. So I try to do a lot with them.
So
but now, that's when they were younger. But now, oh no, they don't want me to get out there and play basketball with them, football, no baseball no more. It's, Mom, okay, go in the house. I'm like, but son, please, you know, I want to. No, and then they have their little friends there, so they're pushing Mom away now. I think I've, you know, pretty much done my part as far as trying to help raise them and trying to give them like insight on, you know, what's right and wrong in life. And I can smile sometime now because they're doing, my work is paying off, I should say. Awesome. Because I know that, you know, with prayer and everything, my boys are going to be better and better. And they say one wants to go, one wants to work on cars to be a mechanic, and one wants to be a doctor. Awesome. So I could see that in them. I could see that.
You should be proud of yourself.
Yes.
Doing a wonderful job, Mom.
Yes.
Wonderful job.
It's been hard, but hey.
I want to hear from you, Miss Mika Marie, Director of the Tri-City Models. I like what you did, pat yourself on the back. Sometimes you have to do that, that's right. Miss Mika Marie, again, Director of the Tri-City Models. Your story is slightly different. You did find yourself raising your boy, a special needs boy, by yourself. But then you're married, and you make the joke that your husband visits.
Yeah, he visits. I still feel like I'm a single mom.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. He's a good husband. Love him to death. But he works a lot of hours.
Okay.
So everything is pretty much all on me. And it's not easy raising boys. I have a 17-year-old. He'll be 18 in April.
Wow.
And he's ADHD and a little artistic. I have a 5-year-old. He's 21. So, yeah, he's like the little man, you know, and it's kind of hard for me because raising them two because of the age difference. It's like the baby, he aggravates my older son, but my older son, he's like a baby too. You know, he's 17, but he has the man of like a 12-year-old child. I'm going through some things with him right now because he is a very lovable child. He's a hugger. And I'm trying to teach him that you can't hug on all these women. A lot of people out here don't really know your situation.
And taking it different.
Yeah, and that's what scares me. They might take it the wrong way.
Right. Well, we're going to stop right there, and we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be hearing the comedy sounds from Key to Key. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Let's Talk About It with Sister JayJay. It's about motivation, encouragement, helping people. It's about talking about a situation and coming up with a solution. It's a show that the people need, that the people are yearning for. Let's talk about it.
God bless you, people of God. It's good to be able to talk to you once again. I'm Pastor Sylvester Battle Jr. with Word, Spirit, and Life Ministries, the Enlargement Center.
And I'm Lady B.
We want to invite you to come fellowship with us. This is where we're teaching the Word of God and the Spirit of God is moving. We're at 3600 North Street, Chester, Virginia. Times is at 11 o'clock on Sunday mornings. Listen, you're so welcome here. You're more than welcome. We look forward to seeing you.
You're watching Let's Talk About It with me, Sister JayJay.
Hey, Cap City, how y'all doing? How's everybody doing out there tonight? I just want to give a shout out to my homegirl, Sister JayJay, for inviting me out here tonight. Thank you so much. Cap City, how you doing? My name is Key to Key. I'm the girl you want to meet. And as you can tell by my physique, I like potatoes and meat. Y'all already know. Y'all already know what I'm talking about. I love food. Okay, as you can clearly see, I love food. I mean, food and cooking is in my DNA. You know, we don't do blood tests. You know, we do cooking tests to see if you're part of the family. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm just so happy to be here. And speaking of, you know, the weight thing, you know, New Year has come around. Everybody does these New Year resolutions and things like that. Personally, I really don't do resolutions. You know, I just, you know, make decisions and, you know, I want to live a healthier lifestyle, you know, because the body is the temple. The body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. And I definitely want to live a healthier lifestyle, you know, try to eat a little healthier, move a little more, you know, things like that. You know, not really the hand to the mouth exercise, but, you know, I'm trying to get out there, actually hit the foot to the pavement, you know, it's what I do. You know, but, on this weight thing, you know, and we're all a lot of us are dealing with that same situation, trying to lose weight and things like that. But what's crazy is, you know, when you see somebody out in the store, in the street or something that you went to school with back in the day and they see you, of course, they saw you back in the day, you were skinnier, you know, so they see you a little more heftier. You know, the first thing they ask me, you know, Keita, you got any kids? You know, you got any kids? I say, well, no, but I wish I did so I could have something to blame these stretch marks on, you know. I don't think it's cool that you got stretch mark on your toe. I just, you know, I don't know how that happened. But, you know, it may be just me. You know what I'm saying? And you know what's also crazy is, you know, years ago, I was on this great eating plan. You know, me, my mom, my sister, we decided to do this eating plan, and we lost tons of weight, you know, together. And I did gain some of it back, but when I lost the weight, you know, I noticed some things. And I'm not sure if a lot of y'all have noticed this when y'all lose weight. You know, when you lose weight, do you ever find like birthmarks and moles and stuff that you ain't know was there? You know, I swear for God, that's what happened to me. Like I lost weight in my neck and I found this mole, like right here. I swear for God. And then when I go get waxing and stuff, you know, I go get my eyebrows waxed, my lips waxed, you know, all that, you know, because I got to take care of all the waxing, you know, things like that. You know, I'm trying to like Foxy Brown, I'm looking like Chuck Brown. So, you know, you got to take care of that. You know, I let them know, don't put no wax near that. You know, stay from over there. You know, don't deal with that. That's a beauty mark. You know, it's just what I do. You know, maybe it's just me. Y'all already know. And before I end, you know, I just want to say this. We have to do better in encouraging one another if we're, you know, going through challenges, especially with your weight and things like that. Because the bottom line is there are people who have lost weight. For instance, you know a girl, you saw her last year. She weighed about 250, 300. Next year you see her again, she about 150, 160. Okay, clearly she been working on herself. You know, she been in the gym, she tightening it up. Okay, so what we need to stop doing is going to church, getting with your girlfriends in the corner. You talking about something. Girl, you seen Kathy. Yeah, girl, Kathy look good. How much you think she weigh? Oh, Kathy weigh about 150, 160 pounds. Girl, I heard she was on that stuff. So, so a sister got to be on crack to lose weight? Let's get it together. Same thing with the fellas. Oh, the fellas ain't off limits. You saw the guy. He got a big pot belly last year. He gained a few pounds. No harm, no foul. But he got Dunlap disease. And so the next year you see him. He walking around buff. George. He walking around buff. He walking around so tight. He walking around himself. Arms so tight. He can't scratch his own back. He got to go to the corner of the wall. Scratch his back. And so when we see George, we like, George look good. When he get out, George ain't been to prison. Okay? George been to Gold's Gym. Let's get it together, people. Okay? That's my time. I'm your girl, Key to Key. And just remember, I don't care what you call me as long as you call me for them. Out.
You don't care what they call you.
Yeah, as long as you call me for them. Yeah.
And speaking of that, those boys.
Yes. Do they?
When my son, I can tell when he's gonna grow because that refrigerator door stay open. Oh my goodness! I called my mom. I said, "Mom, he doing that growing thing again."
That's when they need a paper route.
That's when they need a paper route.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Welcome to the show,
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Funny as always.
Thank you.
I wasn't expecting the weight jokes, but it is the new year. So, what are you doing?
Well, I am currently working on getting my live recording together.
Okay.
I'm focused on that. Really been working hard. It's been some years past, and it's time.
Okay.
So I'm really working towards that. Looking towards the fall.
Okay.
Around September to
of this year.
Yes, of this year.
Awesome.
To actually do my live recording, stand-up recording, and things like that. And I actually want to put together a whole DVD, and not just me of doing stand-up, but also doing short skits and things like that. Because I also
you're an
act.
actress.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I also do stage play with my girl,
Sister
JayJay. And
Shameless plug.
That's right. Shameless. I do stage plays with Sister JayJay, also with playwright Miss Karen Gordon as well.
Karen Gordon.
Yeah, shout out to Miss Karen. And so I will be working on getting that together as well.
Awesome. Tell the people where they can find you.
Well, you can definitely find me on Facebook. I love social media, and you can find me on Facebook, Key to Keep. At facebook.com. I believe that's what it is.
And if you're not there, you at a dinner table.
Yeah. Dinner table, a restaurant, whatever, drive through. It will make no difference,
I love it. I love it. Well, we're talking about single mothers raising boys.
Right.
And you're not a single parent.
No.
But
no, I am not a single parent. However, I have seen definitely my family, close family, being single and raising boys by themselves. And because I do not have any children of my own, actually, I have 2 older sisters, and none of us have children. But we have plenty of nephews, if you want, if you want to say. And I will definitely say, watching my cousins raise them, I give my hats off to everyone on this stage. I give my hats off to every single parent, because what I also know too, it's not just mothers, but I also have seen more single fathers raising their children now. I've seen a whole lot of that now. So I do definitely give my hats off to those who are doing it by themselves.
Right.
And it's crazy because my sister and I just had this conversation last weekend. She got her godchild, who's 5, and his little brother, who was 2, and they stayed the weekend last week. That was 2 nights. That was 2 nights. And we both said, now this is just 2 nights that they stayed with us. So can you imagine a lifetime of having to raise them, on your own? Now of course those 2, they have a mom and a dad. Their mom and dad are married, but just being in our company, it's like you got to remember the diaper bag. They got to eat, you know, stuff like, you know, yeah, stuff like that. Praise God, they can walk, but you know, and you know, they eat like grown people. So you know, at 1 o'clock in the morning, you know, one of them was asking for bread. Okay, well, you just ate Chick-fil-A like 2 hours ago. Where's this food going? And so it's like, this is crazy. Like, y'all need paper routes. Like, I don't understand. You know, I'm not sure what the age limit. I know the age limit like 16, but I think we can lower that. I think there's something happen. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
a child labor law.
But see, you know what? I feel that laws can be, you know, adjusted to help out those, and I think it will help the economy as well. You know, it's putting money back into the economy, you know, things of that nature. And you know what they don't understand? Once they start spending their own money,
Right.
you know, once they start spending their own money, that's when they're a little more knowledgeable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because if they spend everybody else's money, it don't make no difference.
Exactly.
But once they have to start spending their own money, it's like, well, hold on, Ma. I don't need that,
Exactly.
you know, I don't need that chocolate syrup for my milk.
Exactly.
You know, I'll just drink the milk plain. You know, stuff like that. You know, stuff like that.
Latasha, you was
When she said that, I just thought about my son had some money that he got from someone for his birthday, and he said, "Mom, could we go to McDonald's?" I said, "Yes, son. You can go anywhere you want to. You got money."
Dollar menu.
He said, "I got to spend my money."
yeah.
I wanted to save my money. I said, "So whose money did you want to spend?" He said, "Yours." I said, "I don't have any money." He said, "Use that card." Go to that machine and take that money out and use that card. I said, "I love how you're spending my money." I have a word of caution for you too. I realize this now. I raised my son not to. He didn't get a lot of everything he asked for. You understand what I'm saying? He wasn't a Jordan kid. You know what I mean? If it was too frivolous, or it messed with the pocket too much, we didn't do it. And he'd always say, "I can't wait till I get a job." And I said, "I can't wait for you to get a job either." And you know, he said, "I'm gonna buy what I want." I said, "You can." Then he got a job, and he bought everything he wanted. So it was kind of like I wanted to teach him not to be all into a whole lot of material things or spend a lot of money. However, where I lacked, and now I'm trying to make up for it, is to let him understand that didn't just apply to my money. That applies to your money too. You know, we have a plan, of course, while he's overseas, and thankfully I'm in charge. No other female, just mama. You understand what I'm saying? I handle that for you. I'll make sure you come back to some money. That's right. Because you can't come back here. Okay, you could, but there's some rules to that. So we have a plan. However, when I look at some of the other spending, I'm just like, yes, we need to talk. But he's got his own job and he's buying his own thing. So yeah, just caution, word of caution. Yes, while you're teaching him that you're not going to buy him everything, teach him to save.
Okay. So Mika, let's get back to you. You said that you are married. However, you kind of feel like a single parent. Chime in on that.
It's a lot of things that I wish my husband was able to do with the boys, but he can't because of the hours that he worked. In the beginning, it bothered me, but I'm doing much better with it now. Okay, I'm used to it, you know. But I have to learn how to do the things that my older son likes to do. I do have a daughter, and I'm more into the girly stuff, right? You know, and he spoke on it one time. He was like, "Mom, you always, you know, with Leah, we don't never do anything." So I'm trying to work on being able to do some of the stuff that he liked to do. Yeah, and I have a 5-year-old. Like Miss Keita Keats said, my 5-year-old, he stays up all night long. He wake you up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. He wants something to eat. He want to watch cartoons. He want to. He can work a computer like he working somebody's business office, and he's only 5 years old. So I'm going through the ringer with that, trying to get him prepared for school because he'll be going to school this year. Yeah, and hopefully once he's in school, that'll change. Right. Yeah, because that's been going on for a while.
So let me ask the mothers: do you think being a mom, that at some point that you may either be too soft or too hard?
I am.
You feel which one are you?
I'm too soft.
Too soft.
I'm too soft. Just like she was saying, you give your kids money, you try to teach them that they need to spend their money, but I'm the soft one. We go out, I know he got money or she got money, and well, mama, you know, I'm saving. I ain't saving for nothing, but I'm like, okay, you know, and I bad anyway. And that's something that I really need to stop doing, especially with my older son.
Okay.
You know, he likes to keep his money and do what he wants to do with it. But if I tell him, you need to go buy your shoes, he don't want to buy the shoes. He want mama to buy the shoes. And I end up doing it. And that's what I need to stop doing. Yeah.
So, Katrina Renee, are you too soft or are you too hard?
I used to be too hard.
Okay.
Now I'm just soft. I tell the kids, like you said, look, no TV. You will not watch TV this week. Well, my son would come to me, Mom, it's nothing to do. Well, go ahead and turn the TV on. Go ahead and turn it on just for an hour. Then,
just for an hour.
Just for an hour.
Punished.
Yes, just for an hour. But however, but Mom, my show, it's not gonna be just an hour, Mom. Can it just be 2 hours? And go ahead, son. Just watch the show, and once it's gone off, you turn the television off. He says, okay. But then the next day, he comes back. Hey, can I watch it? That's when I know. So I need to work on being consistent with my rules. If I tell him that, you know, this is what you're punished, and this is how long you're going to be punished, I need to, you know, just follow through with it. Because I see they starting to, you know, play with mama, double dutch.
That's that charm, that boy charm. Yeah, my son does that quite frequently. And my baby girl told me, she says, you're getting too soft, Mom. And I said, what are you talking about? And she told me, she said, if you're going to punish him, let him stay punished. And, you know, I said, well, you know, I'm giving him another chance. But at the same time, he has to deal with the reality of the world. And the world is not going to be as kind to give him that second chance all of the time. You know, so Latasha, were you too soft or were you too hard?
I don't think I was either. I'm serious, I wasn't. I think my whole goal with my son is to change some things that I went through as a child. My mom was too hard. I won't say too hard. My mom was hard. And that's because that's how she was raised, hard. That's the life she lived, a hard life. And you know, and ours was okay, but it was hard. So when it came down to my son, I think I've always wanted to look at other perspectives as opposed to just mine, so that if I made a choice, it was based off of how I felt about the situation and not just based off of me saying no as a mother or yes as a mother because I'm too soft. I weighed my options. My son should have been an attorney at 5 because my child is very debative and not in a disrespectful way. However, if I allow him to, he will paint a perfect picture as to why the answer should be yes. So if you had to ask him, he might say I was a little hard, but it was, you know, I got to the point where I learned to just, like I said, make the decision based off how I felt about the situation. But if I said no and he asked again, and I said no and he asked again, I said, did I answer your question? And he said, you did, but I said, no, if I answered your question, there's no but. The question is answered and it's no. And then, you know, if I felt like he felt like it was something I was going to say no to, and he'd come and I say, yeah, just surprise the heck out of him. You know, because I was making the decision based off of the situation and not just my emotion.
I think also, and I love what you said, making the decision based on the situation and not the emotion. And also making our decisions as parents not based on how our parents raised us. I've realized through my children that I have like 2 sets of my older son and then my baby boy. And I realized that I was raising my older children based on how my mom raised me. And that isn't necessarily wrong, but it's not necessarily right either. You have to deal with each child based on the situation, especially when you're dealing with boys. And I feel as though we should not raise our boys out of fear, but we should raise them with caution and making sure that they take accountability for their actions. So that's a lot. In boys, there is a certain mannerism that boys possess. You know, I love what your son said, I'm a boy, Mom. You know, so their rightful place is to grow up to be the head of the household. So as they're growing, they're beginning to develop who they are. Not that we're the weaker vessel in a negative stance, but we are the weaker. But we're the ones that are dominating them. So there's a shift in that atmosphere, which makes the abnormal become the normal. And we're expecting them to operate in that abnormal lifestyle, thinking that it's normal, but it's actually an abnormal lifestyle.
You're right.
You know, so I commend you moms on how you all recognize that, hey, I have to adjust myself so that I can better raise this boy into a productive man, you know, so that they can be an asset to the community and not a liability to the community.
That's right.
And I love what you did, or you pet yourself on the back. So all the moms pet yourself on the back. Good job, good job, good job. Well, that will do it for Let's Talk About It.
Yes, that's right.
That will do it for Let's Talk About It with Sister JayJay. We were discussing single parents raising boys, and we had a fantastic time today. Thank you all for allowing me to share this conversation with you all. Be sure to check us out next week, same place, same time, right here. Let's Talk About It with Sister JayJay.
Come on, let's talk about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Come on, let's talk about it with Sister JayJay.